Hello and welcome to another E3 special edition of Guy Cocker's Video Games Podcast. Today I speak to journalists, leaders and innovators in the video game space to find out what to expect from the next year of gaming. My guests on this episode include Jeff Cannata, the one-time presenter of the Totally Rad Show, and now the proud owner of a new show that he funded through Kickstarter. I'm also joined by Sony Computer Entertainment UK and Ireland Managing Director Fergal Gera to find out what it's like to have won E3 in the eyes of a lot of commentators and what else we need to know about the PlayStation 4. And finally, I met up with GameStick creators PlayJam to find out about the £79 device that could take on the next-gen consoles. First up though, here's Jeff Cannata. So I'm joined now by Jeff Cannata, previously of Totally Rad Show. He's been working on new projects. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
How are you finding E3? I know it's only the first day, but are you enjoying it so far?
So far, so good. The press conference day was pretty awesome. I mean, it's rare that you have such a big, dramatic press conference day. All the press conferences, even EA and Ubisoft, were pretty awesome.
So we should introduce you and say what you're up to at the moment. Previously, you were presenting Totally Rad Show. You've kickstarted your own new project. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's called Newest, Latest, Best, and the idea is it's going to carry forward what we were doing with the Totally Rad Show, which is covering lots of topics, all the things that I get excited about, movies and video games and comic books and TV shows and books and fitness and, I call it the ultimate guide to how to spend your free time.
Right, okay.
And it's really going to be about all the newest, latest, best stuff that I can cram into the show.
It was incredibly successful on Kickstarter. Were you surprised at how well it did?
I was shocked.
Yeah,
I was very worried about doing a Kickstarter campaign because I had no idea how it was going to work out, and I was very pleasantly surprised.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think what was the impetus behind it? Did you see a lot of other Kickstarters and say, well, that's something that would work for me? Or
honestly, I wish I could say it was my idea, but a friend of mine by the name of Brian Brushwood, who's an internet personality himself, works on the Twit network a lot, and does Scam School and Revision 3. He and I had been buddies a long time,
right.
And when TRS was ending and I was sort of lamenting not knowing what I was going to do next and really wanted to find a new way to continue that tradition of TRS, he was like, you should do Kickstarter. And I said, I don't know. It really feels scary to me. What if I don't make the goal? What if, who knows? And he said, no, believe me, there's people out there who really want to see what you have next. And he kept pushing me. He would call me every day. He's like, are you doing it? Are you doing it? And so I finally was like, okay, I'm going to put this together, and it worked out great.
So the project's been funded for a couple of months now. Are you kind of close to putting together a
pilot?
pilot?
We shot the pilot last week,
right.
And we're kind of waiting on graphics and music and stuff like that to get all the pieces together, and then I'm going to try to shop it around and get distribution and put it out. So
Great stuff.
Very excited.
And people can find out more about it. Whereabouts?
The easiest way to find out about it is to follow me on Twitter. I'm at Jeff Cannata. That's with 2 N's and 1 T. Or you can go to my website, which is jeffcannata.com.
Good stuff. So I want to get your reading of E3. I know you've been here for many years now. Where does 2013 sit in the grand scheme of things? Is it an exciting one for you? And generally, how do you feel about the video games industry?
I think this is a huge year. Obviously, anytime you get new consoles, it doesn't come around very often, and when it does, it's really exciting. And to have Microsoft and Nintendo really head-to-head right here, that Sony conference, excuse me, I said Microsoft and Nintendo, I meant Microsoft and Sony. That Sony conference, when they were just come out punching and really just directed shots fired right at Microsoft. It's drama. It's and that's really fun to watch as a fan of the hobby. But also the games are really high quality. I think this is a great year for video games because I really don't think you've ever seen a launch lineup that's going to be as strong as these consoles are going to have, and that's because they basically are PC architecture, so you're able to really squeeze out the most out of these consoles much earlier than in previous generations. And as a gamer, I'm super excited about all the stuff we're seeing.
So obviously, I mean, the big thing this morning is everyone's pro Sony and anti Microsoft. Was there anything about Microsoft that was actually positive?
I think there's a lot to be positive about Microsoft. I pre-ordered an Xbox One as soon as the conference ended, and I'm really excited about that console. Yeah, there's a lot of consumer rights issues that need to be sorted out, but from a pure gamer's perspective, and from somebody who has my console plugged in all the time anyway, it doesn't really bother me, and I saw so many great games that I'm very excited to play, and exclusive titles that I'm excited to play. I'm really excited about Titanfall. I know that I don't think that's exclusive, but
it is exclusive to Xbox. It's coming out on PC as well, but I was surprised to see it was an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, and that looks like a fantastic game. And Sunset Overdrive just looked dripping with style and such a vision. It reminded me of Jet Set Radio, which is an old favorite.
Yeah.
So and that Below game, which looked really great too.
For the makers of Sword and Sorcery. And,
exactly. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff in that conference, and they really were. Up to their word. They came out and said we're going to show games, and they just showed game.
Right.
And I'm very excited about that.
So you pre-ordered one? Straight
I did. Well, I pre-ordered both of the systems.
Both, okay. Right.
So I'm a bad judge, I guess, because I'm a sucker for both. But yeah, I definitely. I think I would, because of my lifestyle, I would without hesitation. I can understand how other people might not be so inclined, but for me, it was an easy decision.
And what about Nintendo? You just come back from Nintendo. How were they?
I'm excited about Super Mario 3D World. It looks like a great game, and Mario Kart, it was a lot of fun, and it's wonderful seeing all those old franchises in HD finally.
Right.
But they really have a hard case, I think, this holiday season with so few games coming out and being only $50 less expensive than the PS4. That's a tough proposition. I was really expecting them to do a price drop here, and maybe we'll see that later because they didn't have a press conference, but some fun titles. Donkey Kong Country looks fun.
I believe that looked beautiful from an artistic perspective.
Absolutely. It looks like a painting.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, I think there's just too few titles. And really, we're looking at one big release from Nintendo in October, November, and December.
Right.
Each of those months gets one game. And one of those games is a remake of Wind Waker, which is a game I already played.
Sure.
Yes, I'm excited to play it again, but it's just not enough, I don't think.
Sure, everything's backloaded to 2014.
2014, which will be a great year for them, but
it's a long time till then.
This holiday season is going to be rough, I think.
And what about E3 in general? I mean, you've attended quite a few different expos, I imagine. Comic-Con and various other things. Where does it compare? What's the atmosphere like down here? For people
it's madness. Here? It's madness, but in a good way. I think I've had many different kinds of experiences. I don't know if you were going to E3 that year that it was like we're not doing any show floor stuff. It's only behind closed doors. It's only meetings.
Yeah.
And it was so oddly subdued and strange. So that was a weird year. And then there was like the years before that where it was like even more bombastic than it is now.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're at a good place where we've kind of got that happy medium.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always bonkers and rushing from place to place and trying to make your meetings and see everything. It's impossible to see everything, but it's a lot of fun.
What's your one game that you saw maybe yesterday and you can't wait to play? You're itching to play. You mentioned Titanfall, but
Titanfall is up there. The Division from Ubisoft is up there. That looks so much fun and really beautiful. But for me, if at this moment, having only seen what I saw yesterday, if I could only have one game to take home with me right now, Witcher 3.
Really?
I'm a sucker for RPGs, and that game just looks gorgeous. Witcher 2 was one of the best games of that generation, and I think they're just going to even make it better, so I'm excited.
On PC or Xbox? Where you swing?
Well, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I think I don't think you can go wrong either way. Right? If I could have it right now and give it to me on my PC I'll take it.
Sure. And so, was there anything that's maybe disappointed you? Anything that's... I don't know if you've had time yet, but...
Yeah.
Anything you looked at and was... Obviously, maybe some of the AV troubles in each of the
press that was a little... I mean, I think that Assassin's Creed 4... It looks pretty, but
is there a bit of fatigue?
A little bit of a fatigue, and I think that even with military shooters, as great as Battlefield 4 looks, I'm getting a little fatigued on those as well.
I thought the multiplayer showing was quite. It was good. Like 64 people. That's quite impressive.
Very impressive. And that commander mode with the pad is going to be really interesting to see how they implement. I mean, I think everything has been very positive so far. There were a few games that they showed just in video form that I'm like, I don't even know what kind of game that is.
Right.
So that's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But it's all excitement so far.
Good stuff. So Jeff, where can we find more of your work if people want to follow you? You said earlier your Twitter feed is probably the best place.
Yeah. At Jeff Cannata with 2 N's and 1 T. And yeah.
Oh, and before you go, have you got any crazy kind of E3 stories from the past? Anything that's happened here for people that aren't here that sort of sticks in your mind?
There's so many. There's There's always something that happens every year that's bizarre or weird. I remember one year. Here, I'll tell this story. The first year I came to E3. It was before I was really working in games journalism. I was just sort of, as some people in LA do, finagled their way in, especially in the old days.
I get the feeling that happens a lot.
Yeah, it's even more common, a few years ago. But
were you a blogger or a game retail?
Yeah, with game retail, I was like, my store that I am a cashier at kind of sells that stuff.
Amazing.
But I trailed Adam Sessler around the show floor. I stalked him. It was really funny.
Did you get to chase him down?
I did. He moves fast, that guy.
Yeah, I saw him at the
He's a fast
Xbox
walker
last night. Yeah, he is fast.
Which is cool because now he and I are buddies. So it's I've come a long way. This is fun.
Jeff, thanks for your time.
Thank you, guy. It was really fun. Appreciate it.
So I'm joined by Fergal Gera, who is the UK and Ireland MD for Sony. Fergal, welcome.
Good morning.
So how was, in as short as you can, how was yesterday? The press conference seemed to go down very well.
Yes, we were pleased with yesterday. We set out a vision for PlayStation 4 that it's by gamers and for gamers, and a lot of the key messages really resonated with the gamers. So that's a tick for us in the books. Clearly a long way to go towards launching the console, but it's nice that a lot of the key messages went down very well.
So why should gamers and everyone else for that matter be excited about PlayStation 4?
Well, I think the balance that we've achieved in terms of the breadth of titles that are available, the type of titles that are available, the price point of the machine, and the uncompromised performance of the machine, is really coming together as a very, very potent mix of all those things that matter to gamers when they make a choice.
So this morning, my Facebook feed and every other feed, for that matter, seems to be very positive about PlayStation, especially in comparison to its competitors. I mean, were you paying attention to what else was happening at E3? I mean, how much time do you have to do all that sort of stuff?
Of course, we're very, very much aware of what's going on in the competitive landscape. I think we were predominantly clearly focused on getting our own messages right and delivering them well, with one eye on the competition, but prime focus on our own messages. So very pleased that it went well. We draw a lot of our benchmarks really from where we were with PS3 and for what we found difficult in the past and how we can be better as a company, how we can listen to gamers more and how we can do the best job by them. And it's certainly not first and foremost by looking at the competition. Okay.
So can you clarify some of the news that's coming out this morning? There seems to be some confusion around DRM for third-party titles at least. A third-party title is going to be tied to the console or the user account in any way. Just can you clear that up for us?
Yeah, there's no change from the PlayStation 3 world. So I think the point that emerged this morning is that there are certain bits of the experience that third parties are in control of. For example, services that run via their servers where they have certain free reign, just as they do today, and could impose restrictions if they so chose, but the PS4 will not impose restrictions.
So if they choose, they can tie it to the PlayStation 4 console or a user account if they want to?
Yes, they may require some log on to the use of their online services, and I think it was left open because there are certain things that are not our choice, but it probably got picked up a little bit too strongly. The core message is no change. Okay. No change in terms of rules and restrictions imposed by PlayStation.
When we get to the release of PlayStation 4, what can we expect in terms of pricing for games? Is it going to remain in parity with PlayStation 3?
Well, we haven't announced pricing, nor have the third parties, to the best of my knowledge, on the big blockbuster titles. But I think what's interesting is you will see titles ranging from free to play up to whatever exactly becomes the premium experience and where that is priced. So the likes of Killzone, Shadowfall, Drive Club here's first-party titles, Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, FIFA, COD, all those kind of titles. They, I guess, represent the top-end experience. So we don't know the answer to that yet. It's not fully decided. But there'll be a huge spread of pricing. What
was the decision behind making multiplayer games a component of PlayStation Plus, or multiplayer gameplay at least, for PlayStation 4? And can you detail a little bit about how that's going to work?
Yeah, again, we needed to strike a balance between the value we offer consumers, the entry price point for the machine, coupled with a new, improved, and an extra investment in the network. So we've got new features, new network features, and we want to shore up and improve the core network performance. So you've got a couple of different ways of doing that. We could have introduced PS4 at €599, which is where PS3 was, and effectively charge for online multiplayer in the price of the console. Or we could do what we've done here, which is go and hit a lean, keen introductory price point for the console, introduced a subscription service which includes online multiplayer for PS4, but also includes tremendous added value for the gamer across 3 platforms. So the number of games that the gamer gets for included in their subscription is clearly very substantial across those 3 platforms, and starts for PS4 with the rather excellent Drive Club, the PS Plus edition of that. So we think the balance of value that we've achieved with the subscription, with the entry price point of the console, is still excellent.
But just to confirm, you will have to be a PlayStation Plus subscriber to play multiplayer games on PS4.
You will.
Okay,
correct.
There's a lot of talk yesterday about the PlayStation Vita and how it works with PlayStation 4. Can you detail a little bit about that and where the Vita is in general with its own titles?
Yeah, well, 2 of the most exciting titles we've got here in this room today are Tearaway and Killzone Mercenary, so they are Vita dedicated titles, and there were many more touched on yesterday. But you're absolutely right. A new and very exciting feature is the remote play feature, which is powered by Gaikai technology. It is also enabled by the video encoder chip, which sits on the PS4. It's a very low overhead process in that it doesn't drag down the gameplay, nor is it difficult for the developer to execute. And with that, you can have a full PS4 experience elsewhere in your home, certainly over Wi-Fi. And we're certainly at the moment testing how well that might work out at home. But the phrase that a PS Vita is a PS3 in your pocket is now taken on a far more real meaning, and that it genuinely is a PS4 in your pocket, and that you can play most of the PS4 games is what we expect to be enabled for PS Vita. So very exciting.
Will it be so most PlayStation 4 games, you'd say, like the ones that don't use the PlayStation Eye camera, or?
Yeah, that's the key restriction that would maybe impede the gameplay working or make it a little bit more difficult. Of course, there is a camera on PS Vita, but you've got more considerations if you're going to enable a camera-based game to work on PS Vita. But clearly, the suite of controls, is a very close mirror of the DualShock 4, and therefore porting those across so that you can play the game on PS Vita is relatively easy. Obviously,
Gaikai is a key part of the backwards compatibility features of the PlayStation 4. Backwards compatibility has been a big thing for PlayStation in the past. The message seems to be to wait and hold on that one, though, and wait for Gaikai to be rolled out in full later in 2014. Is that right?
Yes, correct. I think what we're saying is there is a vision to take the PlayStation experience to many more devices. There's a vision to showcase that great catalogue of games and allow those to be played on more of our platforms. But it's not an overnight task, bringing all of that to market, and you'll see the first big steps during 2014 when we'll bring PS3 games to PS3 and to PS4 in the US, and then you'll see us proliferate out into more and more devices, more and more countries, more and more games.
So it will launch in the US first and then other territories later?
Correct.
So, Fergal, I want to just get your thoughts. Obviously, you've been close to the PlayStation 4 for a while now, more so than I have. What are you looking forward to playing on PlayStation 4 most?
Well, gosh, good question. Certainly from our own stable, I think Killzone Shadowfall looks absolutely amazing. It's probably the best for me, closely followed by Drive Club. But also there's amazing third-party experiences out there. Watch Dogs is almost a whole new genre of game, that's out there and looks incredibly good for PS4. So there's just 2 to whet the appetite, but the choice is looking absolutely fantastic.
The indie developers that I've been speaking to in the UK, at least, have been very positive about the way that Sony's been approaching indie developers. That is a conscious effort from your part to kind of address that imbalance from the last generation, do you think?
Well, we've said, Andy put it very well last night. He said we want to create the best place to play. If it's going to be the best place to play, it's got to have the best toys, the best games to play on, and that requires being open and easy for the developers. And they can be big, they can be small, they can have conventional experiences, and they can have whole new and wacky experiences. We want all of that to be there on PS4 so that it becomes a very broad church of amazing experiences. Okay. So indies are very important to that.
And Fergal, I've been asking everyone that I've been talking to today, what's your favourite part of E3 as a convention? Obviously, for people that aren't here, what do you enjoy the most about being here at E3?
Well, I've had the pleasure of coming to E3 both as an exhibitor and as a retailer. Actually, it's a fantastic experience as a retailer because you get to bounce around everything in a more holistic, complete sense. So yesterday I went to all of the press conferences and watched the Microsoft one online. My highlight was obviously the Sony press conferences went very well. But, I genuinely love talking to our retailers, talking to our media partners here and just taking them through what we've got, and I'll manage a few hours to hopefully sneak off and see the show floor. So it's just a great assault on the senses, isn't it?
Great, Fergal, thanks for your time.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Cheers.
Just before I left for E3, I met up with the creators of the new Android-powered games console GameStick, which is also here at the show, to find out if it can be a viable contender when it launches next month. I'm down here in central London at the GameStick head office, and I'm here with Samir Baruva, who is the head of games here. Hi, Samir.
Hi, Guy.
And John Vega, who's the games relationship manager. Hi, John.
Hello.
So, guys, GameStick is coming. It's very soon now. It's coming in July. Where are you at? And just tell us a little bit about the device.
We are working away to release the device to retail in July. We are currently finalizing the software platform, that's the store and the back end. And the hardware is being cooked up in our China factories and offices as we speak. And we are currently sending out dev kits to developers, which are the ones that we are publicly showing at the moment. And we are onboarding games rapidly. So yeah, all fingers crossed, we are releasing in a month.
Good stuff. Now, John, this is it's coming in July in the US and UK. It's available in game. It's £79.99. Obviously, this is a big year for Android-based devices in general. What's the GameStick differentiator, would you say?
I think the best thing about the GameStick is it's obviously a really good cheap option to get top-end gaming onto your TV, and the whole user experience from start to finish is a great user experience with the GameStick. I think the whole playing a game back on the TV with the controller the way they're meant to be played, I think is what we're bringing to the table.
Obviously, the device itself is very portable as well. It's very small. I mean, I've been looking at some of the prototypes and the dev kits here. Tell us a bit about how it works from a physical level.
So yeah, basically the actual stick is very small. We do have an option to, if you're traveling around to people's houses, you can put the stick in the controller, so you don't have to worry about losing the stick. And also plug it into the TV. We support 3 options to do that. You can plug it in via USB on your TV. If your TV supports MHL HDMI, you can plug it in via that, which means no wires. And also you can plug it into the mains if you want as well. So I think we give a great option for taking it around to your friend's house without having to carry cables, etc.
I mean, and also it's essentially like a USB key. If you've got a USB memory stick, it's not much bigger than that, really.
Just HDMI.
Indeed, I mean it works. So it supports HID controllers. So if your friends have some HID controllers to play with, you can just take the stick with you. As you say, the size of a USB stick, it just fits in your pocket. You can take it away and play with any other controller, if not our controller. So it becomes even smaller when you think of it. Yes.
So it accepts any USB controller as well? Or
A Bluetooth HID.
Bluetooth, okay.
Yes. So for example, there are controllers like Nyko, which exist in the market,
right,
which will work with our controls, and we are trying to support as many as possible. So our idea with the system, it's an open gaming system, and we are trying to adopt a very modular approach. The stick is small. It works with our controller, which is HID. It'll work with several other controllers. A consumer can choose to buy the stick with our controller or with something else. Right. And they can choose to upgrade the stick or the controller separately as and when we have upgrades available. So each component then becomes very affordable, and also it makes the system very flexible. So I think these are 2 key USPs of our gaming system.
So Samir, it's called GameStick. What games can we be playing on the device when it launches? Have you made any announcements yet?
We've been making a few over time. There are amazing Android games which are on Google Play but haven't found their true home. Now they have. With the GameStick, we have games like Shadowgun, which play really well with a controller. And we have some unique games that have been developed just for TV on Android, and they're coming out their way into our store. And of course, there will be the classic arcade games that we've always longed for but haven't seen in the newer generation of consoles that came after the SNES and NES, and we are trying to bring back that era of gaming. Also, indies, they have found a new way of publishing and making their games popular and ideas heard through iOS and Android. And there are several new innovative games coming out, and we are providing an avenue for those games to come onto the TV. So several exciting games, and I wish I could mention all of them, but if you, I hope we can come back here regularly and talk about the games, because it's all about the games.
Yeah.
So John, I got to play Shadowgun, which was, in my opinion, much better playing with a control pad. I'd always, when I played it on portable devices, wanting to be playing it with a controller. Yeah. How much are these games going to cost roughly? Do we think when we launch?
The games will cost pretty much roughly what they cost on the Google Play store at the moment. It's completely up to the developer how much they want to charge for the game. So yeah, they'll cost roughly the same. We don't want to charge people more money, or we're trying to tell the developers not to do that.
Right.
We want to keep the price very similar to what they are now.
Sure.
And also Shadowgun and Smash Cops come installed on a stick as well. So when you buy the stick at retail, you have 2 pre-installed games which you can play out of the box straight away.
Good stuff. And it is called GameStick. There are other apps to it though. There's a multimedia side to it as well, I believe.
Yes, there will be. We will be supporting media apps. XBMC is one of them. And
a load of other media apps coming on board. It just augments the whole service very easily. So, anything that makes sense, we are putting on it. But again, as we say, we are concentrating more on the game side of it. So it's definitely focus on games. Media apps will come slowly and very quietly into this ecosystem, and I think it does add value to some people, but we are hoping that people buy it for the games rather than the media apps.
Okay, good stuff, guys. When can we expect to see the GameStick in stores, and at what price?
The retail price for UK is £79.99, and Game is doing an exclusive pre-order now, and it will retail in July. It's available for pre-order on Game and GameStop, Game in the UK and GameStop in the US, as well as on our website, GameStick.tv. You can find all the information on our website if you visit right now.
Samir, John, thanks very much for your time.
Thanks a lot, Guy. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, thanks.
That's it for this second E3 2013 episode of my podcast. Please, if you've enjoyed it, leave me a comment or a review on iTunes. I'll be back again very soon with another episode of the show, so I'll see you again very shortly.